Hello there. My name's Aaron. I am Aaron on the trails on Instagram. That is all one word. And I just wanted to share some thoughts today about an article I came across recently in the Philadelphia Inquirer. Um, and I will link it in the description. It talks about a first of its kind FAT convention that will take place on Temple University campus in November. And first off, I used to live in Philadelphia. It's an absolutely beautiful city. I loved it. And of course, Philadelphia is a very diverse city too, and a very wonderful city. And so you always hear fat activists talk about how they are just another minority. And of course, Philadelphia is a place that welcomes minorities. I mean, that's why the Declaration of Independence was signed in Philadelphia originally, is because it was the one place in the colonies where everyone could attend the church that they wanted. And so it is literally the birthplace of the welcoming attitude that we have here in this country, or at least that we aspire to. It's not always there. But this is not that. And this is not promoting diversity, it's promoting bad behaviors. You do not hear us talk about the smoking convention. This is playing into another addiction. This is playing into bad behaviors that are promoted. And first off, I should tell you that this so called fat convention that they're calling first of its kind is not first of its kind. We've heard of course, the fat ends, which, if I can say this to get around the YouTube algorithm, it's people who were attracted to others who are fat. And, there's a word for that, and we won't use it here. And for as much as they like to talk about how it was black women or others who created the fat positive movement, I mean, every piece of evidence we have points to it was started by men, white men, that wanted to keep their attraction, to show their attraction, and to play into their attraction. And of course, we had Fatspo. And just recently, we've heard about Tess Holliday having a special camp or convention or whatever for fat people, where pretty much you just went to pay her for the glories of her being Tess Holliday. But beyond it not being unique or different or anything, there was one line that really stuck out to me about this article. And again, like I said, I will put it in the description. The organizer said, "We're not into buzzwords because we've seen how it affects and impacts people." And then, almost on cue, they went into using all the buzzwords that we see in the body positive movement. First off, they talk about people in larger bodies. That's how they refer to the people they wish to attract. They're not they're not human beings. They're not men and women or anything else. They are people in larger bodies. That's what they see them as. It's just their larger body and nothing else. And they talk about people who've perhaps tried to diet. Of course, they refer to diet as leading to developing eating disorders. And of course, I mean, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen, but as we've seen so many times, they define eating disorders as anyone who tries to count their calories or tries to eat less or just simply watches what they eat and tries to eat more fruits and vegetables or whatever. And then they accuse us of living in a fat phobic world and society. Now, am I saying that the world is easy for fat people? No. Am I saying that the world is designed specifically to exclude fat people? Also, no. That's ridiculous. We have seen way too much. I mean, we've seen accommodations for fat people. We've seen chairs getting wider. We've seen sizes getting wider. I mean, just in my own life, I've seen this. Usually, when we hear about fat phobic world in society, it's fat people not getting special benefits for being fat. I mean, I know recently we had a influencer who asked that she should get free seats because she can't fit into one, and so she should just get free airplane seats. And first off, I want to say that if you're traveling in an airplane. That is a privilege that not many people have. I mean, in the worldwide, of course, but in Western society, in the United States, it's still rare. It's something that not many people, not everyone gets to do. But then, of course, we hit the big one, the big word that seems to be going into every discussion of body positivity. An organizer said, some people are not in love with the body every day, but this is the body that they exist in. Again, referring to nothing but their body, not as the person, not as the whole person, just their body. But then we hear the word that they exist in. Exist. We've heard that word so many times in the body positivity movement. Exist. You can do more than exist. And of course, we have seen it so many times. Of course, there's the whole talk of, or that whole TikTok trend, I should say, where the guy would come on and say, "What is something that you do that really pisses off thin people?" And then, it seemed like at least half of the responses were, "I exist." I mean, as if that's the one thing that they can do. And I've heard other former fat people, or people who are in recovery, I should say, who said, "I just got tired of existing." Um, I know Obese to Beast said straight out that when I was big and when he was big, said I felt like all I was doing was existing. And so you can do more than exist. But of course, we go on and they ask us to, they say that this convention is a chance to connect with people who look like you, think like you, feel like you, and understand you. And of course, these are all on the hierarchy of needs, if you're familiar with that. But at what cost? Do you want to have someone who says that they look like you, think like you, feel like you, and understand you when all they see you as is your body? When all they see you as is your weight, as your body type? You are more than your body. But what I really want to focus on here is just this use of language. Language is, of course, what we use to communicate, but it shows so much of how we think and how we feel and what our attention is as we try to get across to the other person. And when the organizers say they don't want to use buzzwords, but then sneak in all these buzzwords, and I'm guessing that the author of the article probably wasn't familiar with these. It's, we hear a lot about code words that only certain people can hear or can understand, and that's exactly what's going on here. It's creating their in group of body positivity people, and it's the language that they use to distinguish themselves from the out group. It's creating an us versus them mentality, saying that we see you for, once again, your body. That's all they see you as, is your body. But when this us versus them, they say, we are your only hope. That's what the organizers are really trying to say, is that we are the only ones who hear you and understand you. And of course, I should mention that, because this article just kind of sneaks it in at the very end, the keynote speaker is Sonali Roshtower. And for those who don't know, she was on a documentary about I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say his name, but a documentary about a comedian who used to do pudding commercials. And this comedian who used to do pudding commercials was convicted of a word that rhymes with cape. And Sonali Roshtower's big contribution to this documentary in her in her role as a sex therapist was to say men should be allowed to cape, rhymes with cape, as part of role play or whatever you want to call it, and that they should, and he should have been able to get these urges out of his way with that. And of course, she's apologized and whatever else, but once again, that's where she's coming from. And of course, I mean, she's once again played into the usual um, body positive code words. Well, not even code words. She just says, I mean, she said a couple times that losing weight is, and once again, I probably can't say this without getting flagged by YouTube, but she said that if you lose weight, it's similar to rhymes with Yahtzeeism. You are a Yahtzee if you try to lose weight. But once again, I mean, who wants to see themselves as rhymes with Yahtzeeism? But it's once again creating this us versus them. And they are going to such an extreme to create this outside group and to insulate themselves that they want everyone outside of it to just seem like the most reprehensible people imaginable, which, I mean, in modern post 20th century society, I mean, that's what rhymes with Yahtzees are usually seen as. It's just the absolute worst, which, and for good reason, of course. But, of course, with all this language and all this use of code words, what do they really want? Your money. And I'll do a free advertisement for him for this convention here. It says early bird tickets will be available on August 1st for a $250 VIP, $150 all access, $75 single day, and a $30 clothing spot because, of course, a lingerie brand and a clothing store are the two big organizers of this convention. This is all about getting your money. They're creating an inside group versus an outside group. But, and of course, they're already advertising there'll be at least 40 vendors. And, any convention you go to, there's going to be vendors, food vendors. And this convention, there's probably going to be a lot of food vendors because, I mean, why wouldn't you try to make money in this? But at the same time, it's just, you're already paying at least $75 to get in. And now they're trying to get more of your money. I mean, it's just going down that hole. Once again, they create this us versus them. Please give us your money. Please give us more money. It's all about that control. And they always talk about how much the diet industry charges or how much the weight loss industry is just this $1 billion industry or whatever number they pull out of their butts. But at the same time, they're just asking you to pay them for the pure joy of coming to this convention. It's not great. But what about these keywords? You are more than your larger body. You have a brain. You have a voice. You have a soul. You have friends. I am recovering from being morbidly obese myself. And we think about keywords. Think about that word morbidly. Morbid. You're literally dying. You are more than that. You can live longer. You can have better quality of life. You just have to take the steps. You are not held back by a fat-phobic society. There is nothing that is keeping you from that. They want to talk about how expensive it is and how much of a privilege it is to lose weight. You can get a decent gym membership, sometimes for as low as $10 a month. That if you're buying the VIP ticket, that's more than 2 years worth of this convention. You can get a full 2 years of, of gym memberships or one convention to tell you that you're okay. That's all after your money. And finally, by God, you can do more than exist. You can have a better quality of life. I got tired of just existing. I got tired of just not doing anything with my life. I wanted to do more from life. I wanted to go out and see the trails. I wanted to have more energy. I wanted more. Please, I ask you. The keys are there, but first you have to get off your ass and just go ahead. It's not easy, but it is. It's not easy to do, but it is easy. Just count your calories, do your work, and get off your ass. Anyway, that's about all I have for today. Thank you, and go out and do something great today.